So I picked this story out of a group that our producers had showed us this morning because it really hit home on a lot of different levels. A mob of students at the University of Buffalo shouted down prominent Black Republican Lieutenant Colonel Allen West. He was there to speak at an event called America's Not Racist, Why American Values Are Exceptional. He had to be escorted for his own safety out of the building by police. Watch this.
No peace! No justice! No peace!
It didn't stop there. The situation took a really weird and chaotic turn when that group chased after the person who had invited him there, another student, Therese Purcell. Watch this.
They're going after Therese! I know!
Purcell said she had to hide in the bathroom, fearing for her life. There were 200 of them going after her, by the way. She spoke to Fox and Friends about the whole experience.
I was really afraid for my life since they physically assaulted my friend. And like I said, they were screaming no peace. So I don't think they were going to do anything remotely peaceful. They were a very angry mob, and they were clearly saying that they were trying to chase me, that they wanted to capture me. So I'm afraid of what would have happened if I wasn't able to hide from them.
Apparently, Rachel, part of the problem started in the Q&A section. They didn't like how he was answering questions, and so they just let him have it.
No, and it was interesting. Colonel West was on Fox and Friends this weekend, and my friend Will Kane interviewed him, and he said, you know, it's so, Colonel West said it was so interesting. Black people had to be escorted into schools, and I had to be escorted off the school grounds.
Wow.
It was fascinating the way he said that. You know, my heart breaks when I see this girl. I mean, she could be any one of our daughters. She did the right thing. She invited a speaker to come on campus, give a different point of view. It's so hard to be a conservative on campus, and here she gets chased by this angry mob. And all I can say is, and again, kind of personal, my daughter was part of the University of Chicago students who didn't confront, they asked polite questions at the University of Chicago. And what a contrast between the way you should act when you have a different point of view, which should be happening on campus. Look at that. Look at that. And look at the polite conservative students at the University of Chicago who merely pointed out some inconsistencies with the speakers, and frankly, I think really upended that whole conference with just a few polite questions.
I see this in kind of a Gestalt view from 37,000 feet. And there is connective tissue to me between what is going on in states like Florida, New Jersey, and Virginia, and areas where parents want to be heard on issues like sex identity and CRT. And that connective tissue is this. A 6-year-old can't do what those kids did. A 6-year-old doesn't fight back. It's indoctrinated based on we're going to give baby a snack, right? But they can speak up for themselves. And apparently what they're being taught on some college campuses is just close your ears to any, dissenting ideas. Do whatever it takes. And if you really don't like it, go after your fellow students who set this up. That could have been a dangerous situation.
Yeah, look, I loved academia when I went to college, when I went to law school, when I spent a year studying at Oxford. Academia is a bastion of freedom where you have your view, someone else has their view, it's countered, and you get to civilly have disagreements. I loved it. I had a tutor who was the head of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, or a member, I should say. I was someone, very pro-Israel, still am. She was one of my favorite tutors because she challenged me to think from a different perspective. And I just am so sad for kids today that this is what this has descended to. You can't talk about things from the viewpoint of someone else. You can't get a better understanding of the world. You just scream at people.
Well, and their self-esteem is so low, apparently, that they can't be challenged. Yeah. I guess that's my big thing as a mom. So I do want to just go historical for a minute, because clearly those young people in that audience didn't have history. Colonel Allen West was the first Black Republican elected from the state of Florida since Reconstruction. Now, he moved, he ran in other places, Texas, where he didn't win. But let's take it back to the origin of why you might want to hear from somebody who lived an American dream, that those kids, they say they're woke. I don't think they're woke. I think they're asleep.
They're asleep. During the commercial break, we talked about confused folk.
Yes.
They're confused, but they're also violent. And I think that is the problem. Like, it's one thing to have the ideologies compete against one another and it to get a little contentious with words. But that's not what's happening on college campus. I ran campus reform for 2 years. I saw it all across the country. And when I would talk to parents about this, they go, Lawrence, what do we do? Stop signing the checks.
Thank you.
I mean, if you really want to equal the playing field, then you got to send your kids somewhere else. What happens is all these schools have these big names, and these kids want to be with their friends and all that. No. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be competition of ideas, but if your kid's viewpoint is not welcome on the college campus and they're going to be violent and people got to sit in bathrooms, and then where is the campus police? Where's the, this goes back to the leadership of the school. Someone is allowing this to happen. They burn down campuses at Berkeley when they don't like conservative speakers. I mean, this has been going on for a while. Take the money away.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.